Good evening, gentlemen, and a few of you ladies that may be listening. This is Spiritual Art of War, back at it again with another episode. And this time we're going to talk about, something that I've been seeing on the news lately, which is a bunch of shootings involving teens unsupervised. There was one that happened in Indianapolis. We know that there was a lot of teens out there that were causing a lot of ruckus, and it eventually led to a mass shooting in which 2 people lost their lives and about 7 were wounded. And, one of the things that we've been talking about is the whole issue with dealing with single mothers. And one thing we must realize is that the liberal woman in America, the single mother, feels entitled. And that's in part due to getting resources without doing something in reciprocal. That's where entitlement comes in. Because when someone gets something that they did not earn and they feel that they deserve it, that is entitlement. So what do you think? When that happens, you actually breed narcissism, malignant narcissism on a high level. It's bad enough that women are already solipsistic. This is one of the reasons why men have to have authority over women, because women have a hard time making decisions that will be beneficial to the group. They will make decisions beneficial to themselves and what they view as an extension of themselves, which is their children. Okay, because women view their children as an extension of self. So that's why if you try and, hold her kid accountable, punish her kid, she views it as you're punishing her or holding her accountable. And we know that women avoid accountability. They dodge it better than Neo dodges bullets. Okay, and this is one of the reasons why a lot of these women that are single mothers, they're very hard to deal with. I mean, and this is when you look at even on a biblical level. When it comes to single mothers, they didn't really have a term really called single mothers. These were women that were viewed as, harlots or, whores, so to speak. And their children were viewed as bastards. That's a word that it's not even used in the lexicon anymore. So now we're just saying a single mother and her children. We dress it up and try and make it look nice and sound nice. And then we try and make them look like victims. And a victim is like a woman that's a widow, like a true widow, and the child is really fatherless. I can recall back in 94, my cousin, he's really a distant relative, but he's like a cousin nonetheless through, the family. And he same age as me, only about 3 weeks older than me. So I've known him all my life. And I recall in 94, his old man died of cancer. His parents were married. He was the oldest of 5 siblings. He had 3 other brothers and 1 sister. And he was in a different situation, meaning that, father was married to his mother. The father had friends and relatives that were willing to step in and help with making sure everything went on track with all of his siblings. And every single last one of them, didn't miss a beat, because they had so many willing aunts and uncles that stepped in after the death of his father, because his father died pretty young. I mean, that was 94. I mean, his dad had to be maybe like 46, mid 40s, because, somewhere around there. So, relatively young. I mean, even if you saw him back then before he got diagnosed with cancer, I mean, you would think he was probably no older than like 33, 34. You know what I'm saying? He didn't have no grays or nothing. Was in good shape. And was in good shape, meaning he wasn't like an overweight. He had no pot belly or nothing like that. Energetic, very energetic man. Very, had a lot of charisma. You know what I'm saying? Could dress well. Like, he was like the life of the party type of guy. Like a guy that when he came in the room, like, people start smiling. People, he start cracking jokes. So, he was him. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna. His dad was him, bro. So that was like the first, you can say uncle as a kid growing up that passed away. When I was younger, that was the first one I remember. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the first one that when that happened, and his mother never remarried, but had she had remarried, the kids would have been in line because they had so many, that's so many uncles that would have, were already kind of like raising them up, bruh. You know what I'm saying? Like two of them, two of the boys got D1 scholarships, one in basketball, one in football. Okay? Everybody went to college, but if that was a whole different situation where you got like these women that are out here just having babies with random men, now you don't really have no social structure. You don't have a tight-knit community or extended family because you're just willy-nilly just having babies with whoever. And then you're out here, you're trying to run to the government for assistance. If you go to run to the government for assistance, it creates a certain mentality. And the government is very much aware, and I think a lot of people have no idea like how much social engineering was involved. Like I said, I can go deep into this, but some of that stuff, if I go into, that stuff will be banned. It's banned on YouTube, man. Like for real. Like this is some stuff that has to be like off to a whole different area, because they see this type of stuff, and you start putting out this type of information, it starts getting, more known. They'll be like, yo, we got to take your stuff down, like for real. You know what I'm saying? So there's a bunch of social engineering where they know that this is going to breed this level of behavior, where you got these kids that are out of line. And, when you don't have a father, and it's deeper now. That's why I say, even if you're a stepfather, how much authority do you have over them kids, man? There was a story out there in Georgia. Man been raising the son, the stepson forever. I mean, good job, took multiple kids. One of the sons got locked up for murder on a murder charge like the year or two prior, or passed away. He was like in the streets heavy. I forgot either he got locked up for murder or he got murdered himself and he was like heavy in the streets. The other son, a year or two later, took his life, took the stepfather's life. And the mother was like, they were like talking about how he was a good man, and he'd been raising him, and he's always been trying to keep them on the right track, and she was pleading for her son to come turn himself in. And I'm like, you see that? How much control, how much authority do you think he had? I guarantee you that he could not do anything. He had to treat them with kid gloves. You know what I'm saying? You really can't instill any fear in them. And you see what happens now when they get outside, they become self-willed, and now, they handle conflict, a certain type of way, and leads to gunplay. And we're in a nation where there's more guns in circulation than any other place on the planet. There's more guns than people in America, bruh. You know what I'm saying? And hey, I'm not going to say I don't own more than one. You know what I'm saying? But, that's just the nature of the country. And, you damn near feel obligated to own a firearm. You know what I'm saying? Because of just the way it is out here. But, this is some of the things that you got to think about, man. Especially if you're talking about with a single mother that has a son. And then even with a daughter. Because think about it. If you got a stepdaughter, that still doesn't mean that, you won't have them type of situations. Because what if your stepdaughter goes out and dates, NBA YoungBoy type dude, and you don't really have like as much influence over her as a father would. And then you got to remember, a lot of these women, they undermine the fathers, even like if you're the biological father, the mother of the child can undermine you and be like, you're doing too much. You gotta let you overdoing it. Why are you so hard on her? Why, you know what I'm saying? So all this stuff is Is it worth it, bruh, in 2025 to deal with a single mother, bruh? Because I'm going to tell you this. I've even said it the other day. You're damn near better off adopting than probably being a step parent. You'll probably get more respect adopting as an, meaning from the child as an adoptive parent. Just like if you adopt your nephew or niece and, at a young age, if, Lord forbid, you're in a situation where you have to because maybe your sibling or maybe your cousin passed away and they needed a guardian, they'll probably respect you way more. I've seen that many times, where people, were raised by their uncles or aunts and, ended up going the right direction, like stayed on track, respected their aunt and uncle because they understood like, hey, this is somebody that's related to my mom and dad or whoever, and they're helping me, and they go in that right path. You see that a lot. You know what I'm saying? And those can sometimes that's the reason why, you have to look at things a certain way, because these women out here, man, and I know this because I remember I was in a situation like a few years back. In fact, it was around this time. I don't know if it was July 4th or New Year's, so-called New Year's, Roman New Year's, right? And the kid was a young boy, man. He might have been like 11, 12 years old. He was going crazy with the fireworks, and he was doing it near all the vehicles. That stuff can ignite a fire. You do that stuff near a vehicle, all it takes is one of these leaks, an oil leak or whatever, and some fire, and then bam, it ignites up and, cause a fire. And the kid was going crazy like all night. I was just like, okay, 10, and it was like, during the work week. So it was like 10, 11. I'm like, okay, he gonna stop eventually. He kept going. It was like midnight. He going crazy. I'm like, what the heck? Like, he doing it right near, our living space. He doing it right near it. I mean, going crazy. Man, I got outside. I was like, yo, stop that ish. I got on him. You know what I'm saying? And his mom, single mother, oh, you ain't got to talk to him like that. I was like, he's acting a damn fool. It's freaking damn near 1 o'clock in the morning. He's still going. And he's doing it near all of us. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was hot. But the fact that she couldn't see that, listen, there's a time, like, they don't even, like, single mothers don't even have a clock of when it's time to go inside. They don't understand that even with their children. And that's why you see these kids roaming around late at night, unsupervised, because these single mothers, they don't even have something called a curfew. A curfew don't exist to a single mother. That curfew is some stuff that fathers set up in the house. The single mothers don't enforce curfew, because in their mind, as long as their kid is in the same vicinity, like it's an apartment complex, or the kid got the phone if they need anything. A lot of times these single mothers, they be young and they want to turn up and go out. So if their kid is like 11, 12 years old and they feel like their kid can fend for themselves, or they're going to be with another group of kids and they got the cell phone, they got to go out and turn up. They're going to go out and turn up too. And then they just going to hit their kid like, hey, where's everything cool? Okay, where y'all at? Okay, cool. All right, I'm going to be back home. I'm going to let you know when I'm going to be back home. They'll go and pick up their kid wherever their kid is at. But you don't know what they don't know what their kid is up to. I done seen it, bro. You come to Houston, bro. Any of these major cities, even these mid cities like Indianapolis, like just what happened. I mean, I've seen video in Chicago in the summertime with them kids. Man, that stuff is crazy. You be like, whoa. Like, you see that stuff, you be like, dang, they are out there super deep. Mobbing. I'm talking about super duper deep. I'm talking about thousands of kids. It was like one of them times, it was like Memorial Day weekend, or it was summertime. I know it was like summertime. Man, they was super deep, causing a ruckus, destroying things, vandalism. It was crazy. And it was like this stuff that you wouldn't even think like, man, my old man would destroy me. You know, that's what it is. You ain't got that fear of a father in your house, bro. That stuff make kids different, bro, because they can never comprehend. You know, when you ever got hit by your old man a couple of times, man, you feel that grown man strength on you. That stuff make you think twice. You know what I'm saying, about getting into some stuff for real. That's what a lot of these kids need, man. They need that whooping. They need to feel that grown man power. Real talk. You feel that stuff one time. If you don't get it, second time you will. Trust me. You get that grown man hurting, you get pop real quick, and you like, oh snap. Yeah, let me chill out. You know what I'm saying? Then you're gonna realize, yeah, you ain't a man yet. But see, when you got them single mothers, they want to be friends with their children. You know what I'm saying? So, and they don't want their kids to hate them a lot of times. When they do, a lot of times it'll be their daughters, to be honest. That's usually a lot of times when they start having problems with their kids. Like, a lot of times they'll get to the point where they don't care about their daughter. You know what I'm saying? Because they start getting envious of their daughter. Their daughter might be prettier than them. Their daughter might be getting attention. So they'll be like, you know, they'll damn near mislead their daughter. They won't even teach their daughter hygiene. You know, they will literally have their daughters out there fending for themselves. For real. You know, I've seen situations where, you know, I've heard from different females about how they had to leave the house at 15, 16 years old because they didn't get along with their mom. They had to go live with their aunt. They had to go live with another relative like their last couple of years in high school. Like that type of stuff. Go start working and go get a job, you know. Just couldn't get along with their mother. And a lot of that was just really jealousy. Or you could say envy. You know? Envy that they don't got what their daughter got. Their daughter might be young and got a whole life ahead of themselves, and they look at their situation, you know, and then they like, shoot, what do I got to do? You know, before they know it, you know what it is, what they gonna do. They ain't got nothing they can do. They can't change their situation. Their daughter got their whole life ahead of them. It's why sometimes you see these young girls wilding out, man, they ain't got no mothers. They don't got good relationship with their mothers. Go on their page, go on their Instagram page on so-called Mother's Day. You don't even see their mother. That's how you will know. That's how you know they don't get along with their mom, is when they don't even put that stuff up. You know? And then you wonder why they be wilding out. They be wilding out because they ain't got nowhere. They feel like they're not loved. You know what I'm saying? And then you got the young boys, you know, that testosterone start coming in. They got getting aggressive. They're under the influence of, social media. They're under the influence of the culture, the hip hop culture, the street culture. And the street culture is telling them they got to carry a stick. And they listen to, I've seen kids walk around like zombies, man, with their earbuds in, you know, their AirPods in, bobbing their head. And when they walk by, you're hearing them, you know, listening to NBA Youngboy. They mumbling the rap. You know, they 9, 10 years old. And yeah, by the time that testosterone kick in, he probably really gonna grab a Glock with a switch on it, for real. You know, because he done been hypnotized, he done been brainwashed for years. So that's the only thing he know. That's what he's been feeding his soul, you know, feeding that demon that's on him. You know what I'm saying? That he's gonna end up play out the actions that are in those songs. And then everybody be wondering where it be coming from. It be coming from them other influences. And if you don't set a standard in your home, a woman has a hard time doing it. They just don't know how to do it. Okay, that's why they're not leaders in families. They're not leaders in communities. They could be examples to women, to young women. You know, if they're a good woman, they can be example to how to be a mother, how to be a wife, how to cook, how to clean, things like that. How to keep out of men's business. You know what I'm saying? But how to be modest. You know, all those things that they talk about in the Bible. That's what, you know, but you get this type of situation, man, you're going to see this more and more, man. Because as long as this single motherhood is being promoted as a standard of a way to raise children, you're only going to see this type of trouble more and more, you know? And I'm going to tell you this, social media is actually probably making it in some ways more of a thing for, these young kids. They want to show out for social media, so it's an unfortunate situation, but man, it is what it is, man. It's going to continue happening. They had that shooting out there in Chicago with the Mellow Rats or whatever her name was. A bunch of people got deleted out of there. Over a dozen injured. You know what I'm saying? That's a whole nother subject, dealing with the gang violence and the tit for tat. But it is what it is, man. So we'll go ahead and shut it down. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, and I'm going to catch you on the next episode.